Hello again, YouTube, and welcome to the first review of the channel. You've seen the title already. I'm going to cut to the chase. I'm reviewing Madvillainy by MF Doom and Madlib, their collaborative album. And where do I start, really? It's a fantastic album. It was released in 2004. But at the time, it wasn't very well, at least commercially, it wasn't very well received. It didn't do so great. But it's really become one of hip hop's greatest achievements, so to say. It's aged really well, like a fine wine. So you could say it didn't inspire many artists at all until the next decade, but it has become an extremely well respected album by the general community that appreciate hip hop music. It it's got this sort of it's got this personality to it, which Doom is great at creating. He's like, the things he's created himself and projects he's taken part of from other people that have created are just like he's got such a strong personality around him because he's created this fictional character, right? Doom. And he's created others. He's created Victor Vaughn, King Ghidorah, and it's really unique and really well done. This album in particular, just listening to it, it dragged me especially into this really, really immersive comic book style kind of world, which he was going for it. Obviously, that's who MF Doom is. That's what he created. But it puts you in the villain's perspective, and he's done it really well. And although this album is extremely just great to listen to, it's not the easiest to just pick up and listen to, right? It took me at least a few listens to really appreciate what this album has to offer and to fall in love with it, right? It's not just an album which has some great songs, although it does, but it's more of like an audio musical, if you kind of understand what I mean. If you've listened to the album front to back, you'll understand what I mean. It's the best way I can say is like an audio musical, right? So getting deeper into the album, it starts off with a track called The Illest Villains, which it's not the sort of track that you could just chuck in a playlist and listen to. It's an introduction in a way to immerse you into this story and world that he's created, right? And it sort of just sets the scene for what the listener has in store for the album. And like following up with the songs Accordion, after the first few, you'll realize that each song sort of flows into the next as if it's all one song. And that's not for the entire album. They do split up, obviously, but like there's a lot of songs that some of them don't even last a minute, and some of them don't last two. And there's 22 songs in this album, but a lot of them are really short, and they just all compile together, and it's more of an experience than just like a regular album where you pick up songs, individual ones, and listen to them. I like this one, I like that one, even though you can, right? There's another way you can look at it, which is the story aspect of it, right? I'm not gonna talk about each song in depth because I'd be here for way too long, and you guys are probably busy, as am I. So I'm just gonna cover what I feel like are the highlights and the reasoning for why I love this album so much. So to start off, the lyrics, like the writing, the production, the delivery of vocals, the execution of the experimentalism that's going on in this album is, I want to say something better than phenomenal, but I can't think of that word. It's unbelievable, right? There isn't one song that I could point out that genuinely just feels like the production was off. The whole album feels like a passionate project that they paid so much attention to detail in through the whole album. Obviously, like all albums, certain songs do simply slap harder than others. I get it. Although I described the first song to be a song that can't just be thrown in a playlist, right? And I said that every song is well connected to the next, which it is. But there are definitely a good chunk of songs in this album that if you're not the type of person to sit down and listen to an entire album back front to back, there are a lot of songs that you can slap in a playlist. For example, there's All Caps, there's Figaro, Meat Grinder, Accordion. You get the idea, right? Onto the lyrics. It's nothing short of fantastic in this album. It was able to capture this story that Madlib and MF Doom are trying to portray perfectly. The lyrics did really well with this. Going into detail about Doom's experiences in this fictional world that he's created. It's been built up, even though it's so immersive. It's been built up with a lot of very funny verses that they don't take you out of it, right? But they're great to be in there. They get you giggling, right? There's especially in this song called Curls. I've listened to this song so many times, and I can't count how much, but I still catch myself giggling to the lyrics. And the delivery, like I said before, is just the cherry on top, right? He delivers this so casually and like just raw, like it's just it adds to the experience, right? It really does. Again, for more praise on this godly album, you know, I've never heard such smooth flow in such a large amount of songs. The flow is just so consistent, and it really grabs your attention, and it never lets you down from one song to the next. The flow is just perfect, right? Personally, the track Figaro for me has one of the most impressive flows and lyric writing. I couldn't dream of being able to put something together like that. It's really well done, and listening to Doom's previous album, Doomsday, you'd already know what this man was able to do. Like, he could do greater, but even then, this project that him and Madlib did just still blows any expectation you could have had out of the water. It's really something amazing. And like I said, I could talk about this album forever, but I feel like I've sort of been able to portray, or at least interest people who haven't listened to it before enough to go and listen to this. You need to listen to this album. It's so good. I can't exaggerate it enough. Overall, okay, I would give this album a solid 10. There's nothing that lets me down in this album when I listen to it. Even the amount of times I've listened to this album, not one song feels like it's even slightly getting old. I can just keep listening to this over and over, and when someone does that, it is something really impressive. So yeah, I hope you guys have liked this review, and I hope you guys have liked this album. And if you didn't, then music is subjective. But if you haven't listened to it at all, I extremely recommend it, even if you're not such a fan of hip hop, because it's not your typical hip hop album. It's something different, and it's really, really damn good. Alright, peace.